This call is now being recorded.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Alec. I'm the director of the Okanagan Guitar Festival, and I'm joined here with Tejay, Austin, and Carson. We're minus one member of the Western Canadian Guitar Quartet, newly formed basically to present these pieces at this festival. If you've been watching, TJ's been interviewing the rest of the faculty and doing a really great job of that. I'm not as adept at online communication, so we'll keep this a little bit briefer. But I just wanted to maybe take a moment and give everyone a chance to say hi and what they're doing right now and how you know everyone else in the group. So why don't we start with Carson?
Yeah, well, right now I'm actually just finishing my degree at the U of A for guitar, and so I'm going to be fresh out of my degree. And for the rest of the guys, I think I met TJ once in passing in Vancouver when I was there, and I think out of all four of us, I don't think I've met Austin before, and the other one, Josh, he lives somewhere else in BC. So I'm excited to meet the other guys in person and finally get a chance to play some music and some really awesome stuff that Austin's been able to put together.
Cool. How about you, Austin? What are you doing right these days?
Yeah, I live in Lethbridge. I'm going to be beginning teaching at the Conservatory of Lethbridge in fall. I mostly do just some freelance guitar work and working on developing some online courses based on historical improvisation methods and historical music education methods. So I publish a little bit of stuff on YouTube, but hoping to get a little bit more out in the fall. I do quite a bit of arranging, so I've arranged music for guitar and violin, guitar quartet, such as these pieces, and other things in a few different configurations. I'm looking forward to doing more. It's always fun to arrange for the guitar. It's even more fun to play them. But yeah, and so I just finished my master's last year in 2023, and yeah, just looking to perform more, teach more, and get out there a little bit more outside of Alberta and get into the rest of Canada and the United States. And I haven't met Carson yet, but I'm looking forward to meeting him. That TJ and I went to UBC together. We did our undergrad there, so I've known TJ for years. So I'm looking forward to seeing him again and hearing how he plays.
That's right. And TJ, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you've been up to?
Sure. Yeah. So like Austin said, we studied together at university. We did some duets together, and I think we went to some festivals together too in the summer, back when the Culler Guitar Fest was a thing. So it'll be cool running it back in Kelowna this time, but as I guess more faculty type this time. But yeah, I also just finished my master's last year. I was at the McGill, and mostly I've been doing my live streaming and performing online. But I'm also doing some teaching and also doing some research on, well, I was always really into psychology and neuroscience stuff in university. So now I'm trying to apply that more into music and trying to get that applied theory going for music and practicing. So that's mostly what I've been into recently.
Nice. And we can tell that you've been doing the live streaming because you have the nicest microphone out of all of us for the speaking.
And lights.
Sounds so pro. Good. So you guys both touched on a little bit what your workshops are going to be doing or are going to be about. Maybe do you want to talk a little bit about those? Maybe we'll start with Austin.
Sure. Yeah, so my workshop is going to be building on some of the stuff I did for my master's, except for my master's project was fairly practical, but it was basically looking at there's a lot of 18th century literature on basically how they would teach kids to compose music and improvise. A lot of it's really, really, really practical. Like if you have a descending third in the bass, what do you do? But a lot of it's written for keyboard or with keyboard in mind. So the challenge for applying it to guitar is that you need some sort of examples to look at. The people in the past doing the same thing and seeing how they made it idiomatic and good for the guitar. So I looked at early 19th century composers to see how they solved the same compositional problems. That's the paper. So the workshop will be doing a few of these examples. So learning just a few things, because there's so many, it really takes people to study these for years. So just taking a few really practical bits of information and learning how to do it on the guitar. So that way we'll have a rough idea. So we'll probably roll the octave on the guitar, and we'll do probably a few sequences. That'll take up, I think, most of the time, but it'll open up a whole bunch of music. And just with a few little phrases, it's surprising how quickly you can build stuff that sounds like real music, because it is real music. That's how people composed back in the day.
Great stuff. And am I wrong that you'll also be presenting this same talk at the GFA as well, correct?
Yeah, well, not quite presenting. I'll kind of, there's the scholarly block where they do academic poster presentations. So I'll be in the hall there with all my diagrams and examples, and you can come by and take a look and chat with me for a while if you just so happen to be in Fulton, California for the GFA. And if you are, come by and say hi and ask me about music.
That's exciting. Or come see it in Kelowna.
Come see it in Kelowna. That's even better. Double dip, do both.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And TJ, why don't you tell us a little bit about your workshop?
Sure. So I'll be talking about some of the principles that are like very clearly and experimentally studied for practically applying things to skills-based learning. So mostly I'll be focusing on spaced repetition and randomization of practice as a way to make your time more efficient. So compared to some of the more traditional ways of learning where you just kind of like sit there and like hammer things in, if you look at the research for it, it's actually one of the most inefficient ways to learn. And what you really should be doing is having space between things and letting time do most of the work, because your brain is a really great processing tool, but not at like bulk information. It's really good at very large scale time processing. So introducing maybe a way to introduce that into your practice sessions and to make your time more efficiently spent so that you can learn more, spend less time, and get hopefully better results in memory for it.
Awesome. Carson, did we decide if you're going to do a workshop or not?
At the moment, I was still on the fence about what I might be able to prepare, but if it does come through, I might be able to give, or I will give, a workshop on being sort of chamber music with singers and stuff like that, because my partner is a singer, and we've done lots of Bach, we've done Rodrigo, we've done many things, Villalobos, all kinds of things, and just talking about also like diction for singers and stuff like that, because perhaps one day we could even have a sort of vocal coach, guitarist, because they're a collaborative pianist. Maybe one day we could have collaborative guitarists and things like that. Of course, as far as I know, that's not too much of a discussion right now, but I think it's something to poke and prod at.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, so there's like two local classical guitarists to Kelowna that we always join forces with. One is Alan Reinhardt, so who everyone knows. I think, Austin, you and him will really connect well. And then the other guitarist is a guy named Kevin Robinson, who joined us on the first year, and the second year was unable because he was his wife was expecting at that time, but his wife's also a singer too. So I'll have to put you guys into touch with each other, and you can maybe collaborate on something regarding that. I think he would be interested.
Yes, yeah.
So let's talk about the concert repertoire. So TJ, Austin, and Josh will all be playing solo pieces. But let's spend the time, keep it short and sweet, and let's talk about the quartet repertoire. So I'm going to go back to Austin. And why don't, Austin, let's start with just telling everyone what it is that you guys are going to be playing.
Yeah, so we'll be playing music by Brahms, and we'll be playing music by Johann Strauss II, the younger waltz king. I picked the music partly. There's some things in common. They're relatively light. It's relatively light music. Doesn't mean it's not difficult, but it's not. It's music that was composed at the time for entertainment. So most of Strauss's music's like that. So we have the Kaiser Waltz, which is a orchestral waltz, Danube, really similar to the Blue Danube that everybody probably knows. Just with different themes, the same thing. Beautiful intro, several different waltzes that kind of moves around and kind of recaps the whole waltzes, and it's a grand old time for everybody. So that's the Kaiser Waltz. And the second piece by Strauss is Die Fledermaus, the overture. So this is from his operetta. So it's a bombastic operatic opening that's kind of similar to his other music. There's waltzes, there's dances, but it's all very melodic and very energetic. So that's the Strauss portion. Then the second half will be the Johannes Brahms, the Hungarian dances. We're not doing all 21, sorry. We'll be doing the first 6. So I picked them just because they're in order. It's nice. I'll probably arrange the rest one day, but it's nice to kind of break them up like that. And the first 6 are awesome. They're all awesome, but the first 6 are especially great. So so again, just like the Strauss, it's dance music. It's not Brahms concerto, so it's really energetic, really fun music. So I think that'll be a blast to listen to, and it'll be a blast to play for sure. Part of the reason I did Brahms and Strauss together too is that they're contemporaries, and above that they were friends, so they greatly admired each other. There's a fun anecdote about Brahms where someone came up to get an autograph from him, so they give him a piece of music. I think it was on a handkerchief or something. Famous anecdote, but it had music on it, and then he would sign it, and it turns out it was the Blue Danube theme from Strauss, and Brahms signed it or something, and said, basically, not by Brahms, but I wish it was, or something to that effect. So, so they were close friends. It's kind of nice thematically to group them together, and then I think musically they complement each other. They're not the same, but they work well together to kind of make a cohesive program without it being the same thing over and over again. So
Yeah,
it's going to be really, really fun to play.
I feel like that connection between like Brahms and the Schumanns is always the thing that's like romanticized. So it's nice to point out that there was other stuff going on too.
Yeah, there's a photo of Strauss and Brahms at Clara Schumann's funeral. I think they're on a balcony together,
Right.
in their fancy, dapper attire. Both quite advanced. Yeah, 1880 or 1890, or I forget when exactly. So yeah, I think they were all quite close. So
it makes sense that the pairing those sets of repertoire together. What drew you to do that to start with, though? Like, what was it about those pieces that made you want to transcribe them, and how come guitar quartet as a format?
It's a mix of I guess musical reasons, and it's a mix of practical reasons. The practical reason first to get out of the way is I was doing for the at Lethbridge, we had a Lethbridge Guitar Quartet, but it was it's like a guitar ensemble. It was a mix of professionals and amateurs, and I wanted to break up some of the music we were playing, have something that was a little bit more ambitious, but without being crazy hard. So I did the Strauss waltz, the Kaiser waltz, and arranged it for the guitar. First, I arranged it for just quartet with all equal parts, and I rearranged it for 4 guitarists of varying difficulty. So that's the first one I did, and then same as the Brahms. We've played the 5th Hungarian dance before. There's a arrangement by Louis. Can you help me with the last name? Alec Canadian Guitar Quartet.
Yeah,
Trepanier.
Trepanier. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I just was scared of mixing up the French. Sorry, Louis, if you're listening. We played that years ago at Castle. I think me and TJ played that together.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. And I was like, oh, it'd be great to play the other ones. And turns out nobody's arranged the other ones. So everybody does the fifth and doesn't do the rest. So I was like, okay, well, I can arrange the rest. So I think I did the Hungarian dance number 1 years ago. And then just started, once I started doing more arrangements, it's kind of hard to stop. So you want to keep doing more. So I did the rest of the 6. Thought that was a good place to leave it. I was at the 6 because it's a nice concert program. So that was the practical reasons. The musical reasons is the Walt. If people haven't listened to Searles very much, just start listening to some of his music and then try to get it out of your head. Try to not whistle that for the rest of the month. And so the music's so fun. It's so enchanting and really fun and it's really catchy. Like it's like you can see why it was so popular in the 19th century. So yeah, it's just kind of a blast to arrange because the more it comes together, the more you get excited to play it. So that was the reason I picked that. It was kind of a mix, but it was a happy. It was kind of a coincidence or circumstance, but it was a happy circumstance because it was really fun music to arrange. So I'd like to do more Strauss in the future and maybe the rest of the Brahms, but we'll see. So, but really glad that we got a quartet to play them, and a quartet, a bunch of really good players. So
Yeah, great stuff. Maybe I'll open up the floor and talk to Carson and TJ. What has it been like to practice and the stuff when you are not living in the same city? How do you guys plan on rehearsing it? What are some of your strategies? I'm sure some of the amateur guitarists watching or listening to this will be curious about that. Either way, yeah, go ahead, just jump in.
For myself, I've been listening to the recordings that Austin recommended as if I live and breathe them. I think what I find funny when practicing these things is that I need to tell myself to play as if I am that instrument part because I'm guitar for the quartet. I have a lot of the lower bass and other things like that. I have some melody that pops in, but for most of it, I try to think of myself as that lower heavy section of the orchestra when they're playing. Because as much as we are a guitar quartet, we're trying to mimic a full orchestra playing these things. So for myself, I try to really, feel the weight of some of the lower parts that I'm playing and stuff like that.
Great. How about you, TJ?
Yeah, very practical approach to it. I'm just listening to the recordings and playing along with them, sometimes in the wrong key, but that's all right. And I'm just trying to make sure that I have the parts learned above the tempo that I need them at, just in case things do what concert things do and go off the rails, so that we'll at least have the technical ability to keep up if things go wrong. And just assuming that if it's above what's needed, then when we get to rehearsals, then we play at below orchestra tempo because they're crazy. That it should pretty much come together as long as everyone's got their individual parts done. It should hopefully piece together decently well.
Great.
yeah.
Well, thank you all very much. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to mention. So, if you're in the same city, obviously you can rehearse regularly and do things like that. So one of the things we talked about when we first met was, like Carson and TJ mentioned, recordings, because this gets so much tempo changes and we have limited rehearsal time. One of the strategies was okay, we don't have to come up with everything decide all the tempo changes ahead on the spot and make sure we match and everything. It's okay, just as a practical thing, not that you would do this if you're in the same city necessarily, but just as the workaround for being in different cities is let's find some recordings that are good get used to what tempo changes they do. So when we get there, we are all on the same page and we have a similar feel for what it's like. And then we can deviate from that where we want, but at least we're not guessing at each other kind of what we kind of want it to sound like. So that's just a really practical thing we decided to do, just as we got limited time. Let's try this and just to make life easier. So don't be too shy to do that if you need to. It's one of those things. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
You have a few days to rehearse and really dedicate to throwing it all together. And, you know, I think even when people live in the same cities, like I talk to so many different performers and groups, and, you know, everyone is so busy with their own teaching and performing and family life and kids and stuff that a lot of groups don't regularly rehearse as much as you would think until it's like, okay, the concert's coming up. It's like we've been trusting each other to do the individual work, and now it's like really time to start putting it together, you know? So yeah, I'm really interested to see how it works. I'm super excited to have more ensemble elements at the festival. I think it's really great, and it's going to be a great contrast to Ileana's performance, which will happen after your guys's. So the concert will be on Saturday, July 6th at the Cathedral Church of St. Michael and All Angels. It's near the downtown area of Kelowna, BC. And yeah, these guys will be playing quartet in the first half, and the second half by guitar virtuoso Ileana Matos. And they'll be playing solo pieces the day before, July 5th, opening up the first half of the concert for Daniel Bolshoi, who's a festival favorite. So I hope anyone who's listening will be interested in coming out to those concerts. Tickets are available at okanaganguitar.com. And we still have space for students to register and take master classes with Daniel, Ileana, really anyone of the faculty that they are interested in taking lessons with, and attending the workshops mentioned near the beginning of this little interview. So yeah, thank you all for your time. And of course, everyone's listed on our website, faculty bios, if you want to learn more about Carson, Tejay, or Austin. So again, thank you all very much, and hope to see you out in July. That's okanaganguitar.com.